yesterday, I said that they were going to use. I said that the conflict in Ukraine was not a danger to Bitcoin. However, I did say that the establishment was going, and the propaganda arm of the establishment was going to use the conflict in Ukraine as an excuse to attack Bitcoin. It was the New York Times, the New York Post, and CNN all released articles around the same time that said, essentially, the Russians, those scary, dirty Russians, are going to use Bitcoin to go around sanctions, right? And right on cue, you have the vampire, Christine Lagarde, head of the European Central Bank, and she's a convicted felon, I might add. She is urging haste on crypto regulation in wake of Russian sanctions. The European Union should move quickly to approve cryptocurrency regulation that prevents Russia from evading sanctions after invading Ukraine. There are always criminal ways to try to circumvent a prohibition, which is why it's so critically important that MiCA is pushed through as quickly as possible so we have a regulatory framework. And here is a group of 6 member states, including Germany, Italy, Spain, also want to include cryptocurrencies under the supervision of the new EU Authority for the Anti-Money Laundering. Now, a couple points here, right? Russia hasn't been taken off the SWIFT system. Why? Because Europe would go cold, because they're buying natural gas from Russia. But of course, don't pay attention here. Pay attention to the dirty, dirty, shadowy supercoders and their currency of choice, Bitcoin. You must be paying attention to that. But yeah, dude, it's what I told you yesterday. These people are not going to let a crisis go to waste. They're using this new narrative as a way to attack Bitcoin. Now, I think governments and these central bank people that really own these governments, they're going to have a really rude awakening when they find out, yeah, you could possibly regulate. I know, not possibly. You could regulate the on and off ramps. We know that's for sure. But you can't regulate Bitcoin. Once people are in the Bitcoin ecosystem, your rules do not apply here, right? And they're going to have to swallow it. Right, and I think that they haven't come to terms with that. I think that they haven't fully appreciated that, because the way that Christine Lagarde has been talking about Bitcoin, calling it an escape valve, and the way that she's, right here, she gets all giddy and excited, regulate them. I think that's how banks have been used to essentially stifling and destroying competition, right? Is by constructing this huge regulatory moat around them. And to regulate the companies to death. They did that to PayPal in the early 2000s, right? But they can't do that to Bitcoin. But they're trying to. And it's just funny, right? Like, it's funny. It's like, why can't we kill this thing? This thing won't go away. So it's funny to see the reactions. This means they're winning. The flank is heaviest over the target. So, yeah, man, this is bullish. But again, I suspect, especially if things in the Ukraine escalate, they're going to keep doubling down on this because it's such a juicy attack vector. Those dirty, angry Russians, they're going to use Bitcoin. Forget about the banking system and how corrupt it is. No, forget about that. They're going to use Bitcoin specifically to skirtail these sanctions. Those dirty, evil Russians. That's what they're going to do. Like, it's just it's comical, bro. It's comical. Phil?
I am looking forward to the day when because look, let's be honest, right? What's going to happen from this crypto regulation, right? They're going to destroy all the shitcoins, right? And they're going to be left with just Bitcoin. And they're going to sit there wondering why all of this regulation, all of this money that they've printed and wasted, why hasn't it stopped Bitcoin? They just don't get it. And it's just so funny. And it's hilarious because she's a convicted felon. It's even funnier because we had Ron Paul here with the KYC-AML stuff, and we show that all these regulations, all they're doing is wasting our money and our time pretending. They are LARPing. They're essentially LARPing about what they do for a living. And LARPing is live action role playing for the people that don't know. And that's exactly what they do. These people wake up every morning, they put on an outfit, and they LARP all day long. And it's just hilarious. Anyways, good luck to them, right? Good luck to Christine Lagarde. The other piece I wanted to say was, to your point, Russia hasn't been taken off the SWIFT system, and we all know why. right? We all know that it has to do with the energy. So, why are they blaming Bitcoin again? Why do we need this regulation? It's comical.
Did I call it? Did I call it or did I call it, bro? I called it. I saw, dude, we read that in the New York Times article. Somehow this has to do with Russia. If you buy Bitcoin, you're funding nuclear weapons in North Korea. Like, dude, it's like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, Jesus Lord. I know what they're going to do. And right on cue, the next day, Christine Lagarde, you gotta regulate Bitcoin and shitcoins because the angry Russians are going to use it. Like, come on, dude.
Did Russia even threaten to use Bitcoin?
No.
I don't even think they mentioned it.
It's funny.
In this context, in any way, shape, or form.
If they want to stop Russia, perhaps maybe these ESG and environmental policies that shut down all the nuclear power plants and made Germany and a lot of Europe reliant on Russia, perhaps. But it's like they can never work on themselves. It's never an introspective thing. It's always looking out, and it's like, that must be regulated, that must be controlled. This is the first time these bankers, these bureaucrats, have ever had competition. They're getting competition from a better money, and instead of competing and making their money better, they're trying to just kill it. They're trying to use coercion to be like, don't look over there, guy. Bitcoin is evil. Bitcoin is bad for the environment. But here's the thing. I think that this works in the short term, Phil, but I think over time, it's not going to work. This propaganda only works so well, but if the honey badger keeps living, if every 10 minutes a block keeps being found, the fact that that's happening, it's just one big middle finger to these parasites, bro. And eventually, the rubber hits the road, and, they're going to have to do something, right? But just watching them squeamish and trying to use coercion to try to get their way is absolutely hilarious.